Okay guys, here is page 2 of the regular review packet for Unit 3. Let's get started. We're doing Skill D, which is identify the angle relationship name, set up an equation, and solve for x. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is, because I know my lines are parallel, I know all my rules are going to work. So I'm going to dot, star, dot, star. We know these are the same, they're vertical angles. We know these are the same because they're alternate interior angles. So dot, star, dot, star. Notice the dots are in like kind of that zigzag pattern. The stars are in the zigzag pattern. Okay, well these two angles here, we're solving for x. Their relationship is alternate exterior angles. Because they both have dots, we know they're going to be congruent, but also the alternate exterior angles theorem says if our lines are parallel, alternate exterior angles will be congruent. So we'll do 14x minus 1 equals 12x plus 17. I'm going to subtract 12x on both sides. That's going to give me 2x minus 1 equals 17. I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and I get 18, and that's going to leave me with x equals 9. Let's check our answer to make sure it's reasonable. We don't have to do this, but it's helpful. If I plug in 9 into the equation, 12 times 9, I believe, is 108. 108 plus 17 is 125. Oh dear, 19 times 14. Well, I'm going to grab a calculator really fast. We've got 14 times 9. I can do it in my head, I promise, but for time's sake, we're going to do it like this really fast. 14 times 9 is 126, and 126 minus 1 is 125. So that's a good way to check your answer. Since our values are the same, we know we did the right thing. So angle relationship was alternate exterior angles, x equals 9. Great. Okay, part B. These are same side interior angles. Okay. And I'm going to actually go back really fast. We knew that these were congruent. Same side interior angles. Well, let's figure it out. I'm going to have my dot, 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 dot. Notice all the acute angles, the smaller ones got the dots. The nice thing about this unit is a lot of times you can tell just by looking if things are the same or if they add up to 180, which would be when they look different. But our lines have to be parallel to use these rules, remember. Okay, this has a dot, this has a star. That lets me know they're supplementary, but we already knew that same side interior angles are supplementary when lines are parallel. So if they're supplementary, that means the two angles, if we add them together, should add up to 180. Well, my angles are 4x minus 46 and 5x minus 44. Let's combine our like terms. That's going to give me 9x minus 90 equals 180. I need to add 90 to both sides. That's going to give me that 9x equals 270. If I do 270 divided by 9, I'm going to get that x equals 30. Well, let's check to make sure our answer is correct. If I plug in 30, 4 times 30 is 120, and 120 minus 46 is 74. 5 times 30 is 150. 150 minus 44 is 106. And those two numbers together add up to 180. So we know our answer is correct. Okay, let's keep going. C. These are going to be corresponding angles. And we know that corresponding angles are congruent. And we can check by dotting and starring or by noticing, hey, there's an acute angle, there's an acute angle. They're probably the same. So we have 5x minus 15 equals x plus 25. I'm going to subtract x on both sides. That's going to give me 4x minus 15 equals 25. I'm going to add 15 to both sides. And then I divide both sides by 4. I get x equals 10. Well, let's make sure our answer is correct. If I plug in 10 here, 10 times 5 is 50. 50 minus 15 is 35. And 10 plus 25 is 35. Okay, good. Our answer is correct. Next one. These are going to be alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles are the same, and if you can tell by looking, these are both acute angles. If you want to dot, star, star, dot, dot, star, star, dot, you can do that as well. So these two are also going to be congruent. So 10x minus 7 equals 8x plus 5. I'm going to subtract 8x on both sides. When I do that, I get 2x minus 7 equals 5. I'm going to add 7 to both sides, and I get 12. And that gives me a grand total of x equals 6. Well, let's check our answer. 6 times 8 is 48. 48 plus 5 is 53. 6 times 10 is 60. 60 minus 7 is 53. Good. They were congruent, just like we said they were going to be. So those are great ways to check. Let's move on, though. Let's look at E. Ooh, this one looks fun. Solve for X, Y, and Z. Well, what's really important is that they've showed us that these three lines are all parallel, and that arrow lets us know that they're parallel. The arrows on the end show that they're going on forever. If you have an arrow inside your line, it's marking that they're parallel. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to start with something that's the easiest. And to me, when I look at this, I think Z might be the easiest. The only angle right now that has a number in it instead of a variable or just a value is 142, this angle down here. So I'm going to cover up what I don't need. We can ignore that line completely. And if I do that, I notice that Z is on the outside, 142 is on the outside, and they're on different sides of this transversal. That makes them alternate exterior angles. And we know that alternate exterior angles are congruent, which means that I can say that Z equals 142. Something else I can do is just start filling in information I know. So for instance, we know that these two angles are linear, they're a linear pair, they add up to 180. So if this is 142 and we subtract that from 180, we're going to get 38 here. Well, let's start filling in some things. We know that vertical angles are congruent, so this has to equal 38. Vertical angles are congruent, so this has to be 142. Same side interior angles are the same, so this thing has to be 142. This needs to be 38. If this is 38, this has to be 38. If this is 142, this has to be 142, and we can keep going. So alternate interior angles means this 38 will go here. This will be 142, 38, and just like we just said a moment ago, that's going to also be 142. Well, now that we've done that, and this is the same as dotting and starring, so notice these ones here where we would have maybe put dots are all 142. These ones where we might have put stars are all 38. Let's solve for X now. Well, we know that this angle needs to be 142 total, so we can say that 142 equals 4x plus 6. If we hadn't written that in, you could have looked at this and you could have said, okay, 142 and this angle here are corresponding. They're equal. We can set them equal. So let's subtract 6 on both sides. And you're going to get 136 equals 4x. I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Let's see if I can get this calculator to turn on. Well, that's poor timing. Woo, 1 second, guys. Old calculator. 34. So that gives me x equals 34. Or we could say 34 equals x, and remember it's the symmetric property that says we can change the sides, change the order. So x equals 36. Okay, let's do our last pair. Now we need to solve for y. Well, we already know this angle equals 38 degrees, so we can say that 2y plus 8 equals 38. I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides, and then divide both sides by 2. There's my value of y. F says, in a complete sentence, explain what is wrong with the given diagram. I want you guys to write your sentence by yourself, so I'm not going to write this, but let me help you think about what's wrong. So we know when lines are parallel that all of our angle measures, well, I'll write the first part. I'm going to say when two, well here, let's call these A and B. When A is parallel to B, any pair of angles should either be parallel or supplementary. And then let's give these angles maybe some names too. Let's call, or no, we can say this. The two given angles are, what angle relationship are they? I'm not going to tell you. Therefore, they should be And I want you to figure that out by yourselves. What's the angle relationship name? That's going to go here. And if that's the angle relationship, what should be true about these two angles? And I want you to figure that out there by yourself. Okay, so I'm going to get started on page 3 in a second. Hope you can finish up F before you move on.